Unfortunately, today it's not live. This is a pre-recorded video, but we do have live moderation for this show, so stick around because we have some fun stuff to share with you today. So thank you all for being here. I'm Floros, and it is October 7th. Can you believe it? We are into October, and my friends, I know that you all know that Breadaholique is closing its doors, and we are just going to continue to have fun until they won't let us anymore. So we are having 3 shows a week, mostly live, but 3 shows a week, and we're just sharing all kinds of fun projects with you, ideas, fun things that you can shop for. And so today I have something fun. I have gemstones. So we're going to talk about boutique style gemstone designing, and I've got some fun things in the show for you today. So before we get started, I want to make sure you all know how the show works. So if you're watching for the first time, or maybe you haven't seen us for a while, you can join us here at beadaholique.com/live for the best live experience. So as I said, this is a pre-recorded video, but there is live moderation. So if you have questions, if you want to chit chat with each other, you can do that at beadaholique.com/live. If you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, we appreciate that you watch. We just can't see your comments live. So come on over and join us. It's kind of fun over here. And there is an amazing community of people that join us here for these shows each week. So if you want to stay and hang out with us here at beadaholique.com/live, you can comment, as I said, and we can see your comments. You can share the show by clicking on that little arrow. Send it to your beading bestie, send it to a group of people that you interact with, or you can share the love by clicking on the heart, and you can also shop the show. So if you click on that shopping bag at any time during the show, I don't go away. You can still hear me and see me, but you can shop. So you can see everything that's in the show today and more. Because we are in limited stock as the shop is closing, I always throw in some extra things, some replacements, some things that if they haven't already sold out might give you more opportunity to add to your cart. So you can take those things and add them to your cart, and you can get them home to you right away. And everything right now at beadaholique.com is 40% off, which is quite amazing and quite cool. So everything that we're talking about today is 40% off. You don't need a coupon code. You don't need anything fancy. Just drop those things into your shopping cart and check out before the end of the show. So we are talking about gemstones today, and I love working with gemstones. It's one of my favorite kinds of beads. Gemstones are always going to be popular, and if you are shopping at boutiques, you've probably seen them there. So whether they are tiny or large beads, you will see gemstones, and you'll see them used in a very minimalist way or a very maximalist way. And we've got some different ideas for you today. So I'm going to flip the camera down and we're going to get started. I'm going to show you something that I already made that I'm crazy about. Okay, everyone, this piece I made in advance of today, and I am crazy about it. So when you go into boutiques, you'll see this kind of a piece behind the counter, maybe on a bust, and it will probably be a little bit on the higher priced end. And it is something that I go crazy over. So I love working with gemstones. I love making statement pieces. It's one of my favorite things to make. So let's take a look at these beads. So let me get my camera to adjust. There we go. So check out these gemstones. So first of all, the ring light is being picked up with the shine on these beads. They're very high polish. They are crazy lace calcite. And these are giving off like planet vibes. I think they're super, super cool. They're 12 millimeter beads, so these are big. And that's what helps you to achieve this massive statement look. So I paired these with this really cool 70 millimeter antique silver curved bib pendant connector. So this piece has 2 holes so that you can make a connection, and then it has loops at the bottom for additional connections. And what I did here is I added some tube beads. Now these are really one of my favorite things to work with. So these are actually called curved noodles. So noodle tube beads, and I've got 2 of them here. So this from here to here and here to here are the noodle tube beads, and they are super cool, super interesting, and fun to design with. Let me show you what those look like. So this is a pair, come on camera. There we go. There's a pair of the noodle beads. So they are, they have a nice generous hole. You can string these on to your beading wire or other stringing material. And what I did was I just placed them onto a piece of beading wire, and then I added a wire wrapped bead in between. So let me get my camera to refocus again. So I just have a little wire wrapped bead consistent with the beads up top. And we've got this really fun and interesting focal section of the necklace. These beads are nice and weighty. And in between the beads, I have some Toho demi rounds in the nickel color. And I've got 2 different sizes. I've got size 11s and size 8s. So I've got on the outer sides of the section 8s. So the bigger ones on the sides of the beads, and then in between a size 11. That's creating some dimension, creating some interest. And because this is a, fairly substantial necklace, I strung this on 49 strand beading wire. So this is just a really, really fun statement piece. So everything that is in this piece was available at the time that I planned the show. So I'm hopeful that you can still get your hands on these pieces and parts. And yeah, let's just take one more look at these beads. If my camera will focus, there we go. They have some yellow, some blue, just really cool. So this is, again, Crazy Lace Calcite. These are 12 millimeter beads, and they are super fantastic. So that's our first boutique style necklace for the day. And by the way, even with this extra bead at the bottom, I still had 2 beads left. So you could easily make a simple pair of earrings. Just do another little wire wrapped bead and drop those on some ear wires. I actually put some of the demi rounds next to the bead so that it would just add a little bit of a dimension around that as well. So super fun necklace. I'm crazy about it. And so I'm going to actually set this one aside. I'm going to pull out my bead mat, and let's take a look at another piece I made in advance. So this is a very different vibe. This is a bracelet, and let me just put this on my wrist. This is super fall-ish. So I love this. These beads and these little drops are super cool. So this is a perfect bracelet for this time of year. Let me tell you about the pieces and parts here. The beads are gemstone bird's eye rhyolite. And if you've not heard of rhyolite, it's RHYLOITE. And these beads come in really a wide variety of colors. So you've got some yellows and some browns, some beiges, even some orange. And I love that they just all kind of have this autumn and fall vibe to them. They are a rondelle shape, 6 by 4 millimeters, so they're a nice size bead for a bracelet or a very minimalist necklace as well. And you get a nice long strand of these beads. Now, these little gems literally are really cool. They are 9 millimeter onion shaped gold electroplated charms. And let me get a good close up of these guys. They are super fun. So they are a little onion shaped faceted gemstone bead. And they are, I think these are sunstone. We'll have to get some clarification of the stone. The product will be at the top of the screen if they are still available, but they've got that gold electroplating. So what I did with this piece is I used some Toho rounds in 15-0. They're antique bronze, and I know 15-0s are tiny, but I love the dimension that it creates for this kind of a design. Here's the beads, and I think there's only like 3 of these left. So if you need some antique bronze 15-0s to go with a lovely fun piece like this, throw those in your bag or in your shopping cart and add those to these beautiful gemstones. So this is a boutique piece if I've ever seen one. This kind of gemstone drop is very, very popular, very, 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 very often seen in the stores, and all of these beautiful gemstones just look so amazing. So I just used a lobster claw and a piece of French wire to do a loop. You could also use a toggle clasp or something like that, but look at the colors here. Just gorgeous. So this is fun. If you like this one, these gemstones are 40% off, friends. They are gorgeous. And those little drops, super, super fun, super cool. While I'm getting out the next thing, you can take a little more of a gander at that. Now, how many of you have worked with carabiner clasps? So that is one of these guys. I'll show you that up close here. So this is a carabiner. These have been everywhere. So with the charm necklaces that are so popular, with all of the gemstone necklaces that are out there in the world, and even glass, this kind of a clasp is super fun and interesting. So you can twist open this little piece and you'll see it screws on to the other side. And what you can do is create necklaces that have just a closed jump ring on them, and you can attach them and you can close this back up. You could add multiple strands to it, and you could also add charms. So I've seen people use them, wear them like this, and they've got charms hanging down at the bottom. Maybe they wear it a little bit asymmetrical like this, and the charms hang down this way. There are so many things that you can do. That's super popular, and so is turquoise. Now, this is not turquoise, but this looks good like turquoise. This looks like turquoise, and I have to tell you, when I opened up the bag of these, I cut the strand open, and one of my beads fell on the floor and broke. I was standing up at the time and it dropped onto a hard floor and one of the beads broke. Now, I wish I would have saved it, but when it broke apart, it really, to me, looked like turquoise, but this is not. This is a nice quality turquoise dyed magnesite. So this is a a very affordable way for you to wear gemstones and get the look of turquoise. Now, these look like those big chunks of turquoise, those just irregular rocks that somebody tumbled after they mined them. That would be my dream is, you know, I wake up in a turquoise mine and it's all filled and I'm able to go and pull out all these rocks and then tumble them into beautiful beads. But yeah, that's not going to happen. So turquoise, the price of turquoise is outrageous right now, but you can get nice beads like this to, you know, be kind of a replica or a substitute for your turquoise looks. So I don't think turquoise is going out of style anytime soon. So all I did with this strand is I took some of those demi rounds we were talking about. So I actually used these. These are a size 8 demi round in the color nickel. And if you're not familiar with demi rounds look like tiny little donuts. Let's look at donuts. Now I'm hungry. So these look like tiny little donuts. They are, so this is a size 8. So this is about half the height or dimension or you know, this half the size of an 8-0 seed bead. It's shorter, so it is flatter than a normal seed bead, but really works great for a lot of different projects. I love this for a spacer bead. So in this particular case, I could have just added one bead in between my magnesite chunks here, but I added 3, and that just elevated the look of these beads. And with this carabiner, you've got all of the possibilities of, you know, adding metallics here. So if, I believe I was able to put another metal tone, like a gold tone, one of these, into the show today. So if you have a gold tone, you can always use the demi rounds in a gold tone or more of a gold-ish tone for your spacer beads. So this is a cool necklace, and I love the vibe that this is giving off. It's all Southwest, and it's all popular and in style because of that turquoise look and that carabiner clasp. So I thought we could make one of these carabiner type necklaces so that you can see how easy it is. So I'm going to open this guy up and take off this necklace. So let's say I have one carabiner and I have a bunch of necklaces. I can just switch this out, and I always have a way to wear a necklace like this. So I'm going to set aside the magnesite necklace, and this is, by the way, a 30 millimeter silver plated carabiner. And it has a nice smooth shape to it. And then it has this kind of barrel closure. So super fun, super neat. I'm going to set that aside. Let's grab a similar bead in its color because, again, turquoise is so popular. So look at these. These are also dyed magnesite. These are 10 millimeter beads, and they are faceted and gorgeous and nice and weighty. These look so good. So again, like, turquoise is so out of reach for most people in terms of its pricing, but you can get some really lovely magnesite with nice quality. And, you know, the price is really affordable. And if you're buying it today, it's 40% off. So I love the look of this. And turquoise goes any season. The whole Southwest vibe is still very, very popular. Southwest jewelry is just, you know, still that really popular look. Southwest Bohemian, Western Bohemian, whatever you want to call it, it's really in. So look at even some of these have like the faux veining through them that makes it look like turquoise does. So lovely, lovely collection of beads. And we're just going to make this very simple piece. I'm going to use some 49 strand wire. I believe I was able to put some 49 strand wire in the show. And I'm going to do that same technique that I did with the other necklace. So I'll put this up here to see, you know, show you this example of this. But we've got these beads with the spacers, but we're going to use the same technique as in the other one. I'm going to use an 11-0 and an 8-0. So I'm going to use a bigger size demi-round and a smaller size demi-round. So we're going to put those over there, and it's just going to add some dimension. So because we're not doing anything crazy here, nothing fancy in terms of additional beads or patterning, this is really easy to put together. So let me show you what that looks like. Very, very cool. So you've got very nice dimension there with those demi rounds. And I think you could achieve a similar effect with regular seed beads. So if you're not into the demi rounds, don't want to be into the demi rounds, you could also use regular old seed beads. You could do 1 seed bead, you could do 2 seed beads, you could do 3. You could do them in different sizes to create that dimension. Totally up to you on how you want to achieve your particular necklace. And, you know, you could, instead of just going with this, you know, this faux turquoise look, you could throw in some extra colors. So you could get some different beads and create a different look as well. And yeah, there's so many possibilities, but I love that this kind of a gemstone gives you such a nice look, but it isn't going to break the bank because it's not real turquoise, but it is still a really nice quality stone bead. It's beautifully dyed, and the cuts, the facets on these are divine. So I just can't see a reason not to go with a turquoise substitute like magnesite when it's this nice. Now, you've probably all seen some of the magnesite out there in the wild that maybe isn't quite so nice. And maybe that gave you a bad taste in your mouth over magnesite. But I hope that you will give this magnesite a chance, because this is not that magnesite. This is really nice quality magnesite. So I am just literally stringing on simple design and getting this really beautiful vibe going. Now, you could also, if you were so inclined, you could mix these two, and that would be a really pretty look. So if you pick up both of these beautiful magnesite beads today, you can get some really interesting pieces together with the faceted rounds and those big chunky nuggets. So look at how those look together. So much fun. So let's keep going to get this piece together. This is probably not the most exciting thing to watch, but to show you how easy it is to create such a interesting boutique piece. And this is literally what, you know, the boutiques are charging a lot of money for. This very thing. Beautiful beads, a carabiner closure, and maybe a charm or two. So We can even add a charm. I actually don't think I put a charm in the shopping bag for this particular necklace, but I think I've got one fairly close by here in my studio, and we could probably sneak that one onto this piece, and you can see how cool it looks, what it does to such a simplistic piece. Now, if you're out on, Pinterest or other social media pages and you're seeing these fun charm necklaces, there are charm necklaces that are super popular too right now. Some of them with chain and some of them with gemstones, beads and gemstone beads. And I love a good charm necklace with gemstones too. I think adding a gemstone component to a charm necklace, you string up your whole piece and then you kind of intersperse your charms through the project. And I think that looks really classy. And that is another thing that you'll see in boutiques. Now, if you as a maker want to get your pieces into a boutique, this might be how you do it. Just make a simplistic design and put some nice finishing touches to the piece. So some nice spacers, a nice closure, and I bet the boutiques would be like, oh, I definitely want that in my shop. So here we've got nice, look at that, nice color, nice dimension. So lovely. So just going to keep going for a little bit longer here, friends. I hope everybody's doing great. As I said, if you want to take a look at what's in the show, you want to jump ahead because there are other beads in the show today. You can click on that shopping bag and you can see everything that's in the show. It will also give you the dimensions and other information about the products I'm showing. So if you didn't hear me tell you something about the product that you're curious about, check there first, but you can always get help from our show moderators today. So yeah, so this is going to be very beautiful. And I'm going to just look at the length on this one in just a minute. I had to pour out a few more of these demi rounds to get us situated and get enough for the rest of this length. I think we're getting close to what I'm thinking this necklace will be lengthwise. So let me just take a look. I'm just going to pop this like this, and I'm going to put this guy. It looks like I need a few more beads, just a few, and I've still got more here to work with. These strands are nice length strands, so something I always do when I'm working with gemstones is I'm almost always using spacer beads. So that's going to lengthen or, make your beads go further because you are, you are spacing them out. So just about done. I think I'm going to add one more pretty bead. And then look, I've still got some that could be made into earrings. So I actually like to end with one bead on top. So it just kind of adds a nice finishing touch. So when I trim off the wire from the other side, because I'm working from the spool, I'll add another one to the other end. So before I do that, I'm going to take a bead stopper and put that here. And then I'm going to come around and trim off my wire at the other end. And by the way, these are in the show today. These are some of the Beadalon cutters. These are amazing, professional quality, and you can get them for 40% off, just saying. So yeah, so putting on that demi round at the end of this side, and then I'm going to grab another stopper. And then I'm gonna take my wire, which is almost finished. This package is almost done with. Put the piece back on, and I'm going to grab a couple of crimps. So a 2x2 crimp tube is what you would use with 49 strand beading wire. And I'm also going to use some French wire, which is also in the show today. If you're not familiar with French wire, it is a tiny coiled wire. And I'm using different wire than what is in the show today, only because I'm out of it and I did not want to take up any of the stock so that you guys could get it. But it is a tiny coiled wire, and this is typically used for the end of silk, like for knotted pearls. So this would go over the silk to protect it, but I use this to finish off my pieces. It just adds a little something extra to you know, your wire. Just kind of gives your wire a little bit more oomph. And I take about 1 inch and I cut it in half. And then I've got some closed rings. Now, I don't think I was able to find any closed jump rings in the shop or in on Breadaholique.com. So if you don't have closed rings, you can use an open jump ring. I would just encourage you to spend a little bit of time fidgeting and closing that jump ring up as tight as you can get it, because it's pretty critical to this type of design, because you're really intending on taking this piece on and off of your carabiner. So just make sure that if you are using an open jump ring, that you know, that you have a nice tight closure on your jump ring. So I am going to put my piece of French wire onto my beading wire, and it just kind of adds a little bit of oomph to it. And then I'm going to take my closed jump ring and I'm going to go down through my crimp tube, through my that little demi round, and through that first magnesite bead. And I'm going to pull this closed, and I want to make sure that this little guy can move. So anytime you're doing something like this, make sure that your ring can move freely, okay? And I just pull the wire down until the French wire meets up with my crimp tube. And then I'm going to grab my crimping pliers, and I'm going to come in and put my crimp tube in the first channel of the tool, then turn my tool in the other direction and crimp in that front channel of the tool. And now I've got a crimp on this side. Then I'm going to pull my wire over and give that small piece a trim. And then I'm going to let, oops, sorry guys. I'm going to let gravity come down and get all of the excess spacing out of my piece, but I'm going to let it coil because you don't want to crimp in a straight line. That will just cause your beads to bunch up and potentially crack and have all kinds of issues. So normally in this, when you're making a necklace, you're adding a clasp, a lobster or something else to the other side. But in this case, we're just adding another ring. So I've got my crimp tube on, and I'm going to put my French wire on, and see that French wire, that little piece of French wire. I'm going to pull that down, and then I'm going to come in with my ring and let that guy drop down. You don't want to try to go through the wire. You want to bypass that French wire and take your beading wire and go through the crimp, through the demi round, and through your first bead. And I'm going to hold on to this and I'm going to pull everything down, and I want there to be no gaps anywhere here. So all the gravity is going to help us to get all of that extra spacing out. And I'm also going to have all of this synced up, and I've got plenty of room for my jump ring to move around. And then I'm going to come in with my crimping pliers and give that a crimp. And then I'm going to come around and trim off my excess. And so easy peasy, I have a fun necklace. Now, there's lots of other things you can do with this too. So if you decide, I don't like this anymore, you can add leather to this. You can add fabric to this. You can add chain to this. You can add another necklace with a lobster claw, 2 lobster claws on it. You could add a bracelet with 2 lobster claws, and you can create kind of a fun combination thing. But this is how easy this is. You're just going to come in with your jump rings and add your necklace, and you'll obviously put this around your neck and then twist that together. And now you've got a fun, simple boutique style gemstone necklace. And look at the beautiful beads. I mean, this is gorgeous. This looks like a boutique style piece. Now let's just see, for the fun of it, what this looks like with 2 necklaces. I just want to see what this looks like. Let's see. I don't know. I have not tried this. So let's see. Get these 2. So not exactly what I was thinking here. Well, I think you have to string on one. I know how we have to do this. So let's take this off and let's take one side. So we're stringing on one end of that one, and then one end of this one, and then this one again. And you would put this on and that one. And then I think this is what I'm looking for. Yeah. So that is another look that you can get. So look at these 2 different magnesites together with that beautiful carabiner. Really, really cool. Now I'm going to clean these up really quickly and show you. I'm going to try and grab a charm. Actually, I don't even think I have a jump ring that I can use here. So I might have to just show you, and you can use your imagination. You guys all have good imaginations because you're making things, so you know what your mind's eye will show you. So let's say that we're wearing this and we've got a charm. So I'm going to just use this one as an example. It's not the best example because it has a bail on it already, but you could do something like this. So I know, more like this, and take this charm and add it here. So if this had a hole just through the center here, you would take a jump ring and add it like this. So you could add one charm, you could add multiple charms. These are not Breadaholique charms, but I'll just show you kind of what else this could look like here. So you could do something like that. A little grouping of charms hanging from this piece. And then it goes from an already elevated gemstone necklace to something that's got some fun charms and some fun, interesting pieces and parts. So this is a really cool piece, let's make something else. Let's make one more design so I can show you some fun things that are also in the show today. So what if we grabbed, these are gorgeous. So these are some beautiful gemstones, and these are a perfect gemstone for fall. So these are red jasper, 8mm, and they're like a bicone bead. And I love this shape in a crystal bead, in a glass bead, but have you seen it in a gemstone? Look at the lovely shape of these. And these are also high polish, high quality gemstones. 40% off right now as Beadaholique is in its closing sale. And all around this necklace or this strand are seed beads, so acting as spacers. So you can, if you would like, use those seed beads for spacers for this or for something else, for a different piece. So you get these pretty little seed beads. So you can get a little seed bead bonus out of this strand of beads if you are so inclined. I'm going to push those off to the side. Generally, when you see seed beads on a strand of beads, you know that they've invested in some nice spacers. They're not super high quality seed beads, but they are still seed beads nonetheless. So these are really beautiful. And I thought what we might do here is we would add some fun silver accents. So we're going to go with silver with the jasper. And I've got these really cool sterling silver charms. They're a 3-leaf sliding charm. They are 12.5 by 9.5mm. And you see the holes are oriented so that you can slide these directly onto your beading wire, and you don't need a jump ring. So I love charms like that. I'm just crazy about charms like that. So when you see the charm, it can just go just like that. Let me put that a little closer up so you could see. So you take your bead and it would go right between your beads like that. So we're just going to do a really simple, fun design, kind of similar to this vibe, where you've got 3 little accents. And when I add 3 little accents like that, I like to call this a 3 wishes bracelet. I don't know, it's just something I like to do because I feel like, you know, if you're playing with this bracelet while you're wearing it, maybe you're making a wish, maybe you're thinking about something. And I don't know, you can make a wish while you're wearing your bracelet. And if you have 3 of these little charms, you can kind of think of your 3 wishes as you play with them. So I'm going to do the same thing I did before with the demi rounds. I'm going to take some size 8 demi rounds, some size 11 demi rounds, and I'm going to reverse how I use those, and I'm going to go from the center of this piece. So this is going to be the very center point of my piece. And I'm going to take an 11 and an 8 and an 11 in this case. So in the other designs, we used the 2 larger beads on the outside and the smaller one on the inside. This way, we're also creating dimension. It just looks a little bit different. So I'm going to take this bead, and those beads should add just enough spacing, enough clearance for this little 3-leaf charm to move. So it's not going to get jammed up by that bead. So these spacers not only add dimension, but they also are making this piece very functional. Let me move those up a little bit, move those off to the side. So again, we're taking our 11, our 8, and our 11, and I'm going to add the next one of these. So it looks like this. And then, and by the way, these have, they're a little different. So the back is where it's stamped 925. The front has like a little button there. So what you'll want to do is make sure that your little charms are all strung on the same way so that you can have that continuity. So here's how we're looking. I love how that looks. I love this, this red jasper. It just has such a nice, rich quality to it. And these beads, these gemstone beads are really nice quality. Like they are not your bargain basement quality gemstones. They are beautiful. So there are lots of gorgeous gemstones still left at Breadaholique. So I put some others in the show for you. If you are interested in grabbing some others, you can make some more boutique style pieces. So I'm going to grab my stopper. I'm going to transfer it over to the other side. And I'm going to work a little bit on this side. So the rest of this piece is very simple, just very simplistic, but big impact. And here's how our focal section is going to look. Really beautiful charms. And think if you wanted to do a necklace with a few others, maybe 5 of these or 7 of these at the focal of your necklace, that would also be a really beautiful necklace. So just hanging, you know, right down at the bottom of your piece. And I love the demi rounds and how they look. They just add a nice dimension. And this is just so super easy to use. And because they are gemstones, there might be just a little bit of color variation or little pattern variation to your gemstone. So as you go, don't fret. Gemstones are meant to be, you know, look natural. And so you might have some that are a slight color variation. I left that one in the mix because it has a little bit of a color variation, but I like it. I think it's cool. And it's just a really fun way to, I don't know, get an elevated design. So if you go into a boutique and you see this piece, you're like, wow, I love that. So I'm going to move my bead stopper over to the other side and keep going over here. I think the length is going to be just about right on me. I'm going to double check it once I match up my beads on both sides. And you could switch this whole look up. So this jasper would also look beautiful with an antique brass. So if you had some antique brass shaded, you know, seed beads or demi rounds and maybe some, you know, some hardware like some charms or a clasp, you could really match this up nicely with that metal tone as well. I like the look of this stone with just about anything. So let's check our number of beads. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We need one more. And then I'm going to check the size on my wrist and see how it looks. See how it's going to fit. So I'm going to take another bead stopper, put it at this end, take this and put it over here, and let's see how this looks. Oh, that's super cool. Oh, I really like this. So look at that. Is such a fun bracelet, just a really interesting bracelet. And if you wanted more of these really cool charms, you could put them all the way around. You could even do more than one next to each other. That would be interesting as well. They're going to move around, which is totally fine. So that's kind of in this vein. So a little 3 wishes kind of thing. You can play around with these little pieces while it's on your wrist. But if you walked into a boutique and saw this displayed, you would say, oh, I love that. That's so interesting and it's so pretty. So if you're gearing up for, you know, taking some things to a boutique, maybe you are a seller and you sell at some boutiques, this would be a lovely look. You could also put these out at a craft fair or something like that. I'm actually going to finish this piece up after the show so I can show you guys a few more things that you might want to consider for your gemstone boutique jewelry. Let me get all of these little seed bead pretties out of the way. And I would take, if you don't use your little seed beads for your bracelet, I would take your seed beads and put them into your seed bead storage. So those are really pretty. And take all of these. Let's put these in here too. And yeah, I got all of them. So let's move these out of the way. Let me give you a few more things to think about for your designs. This is another stone that I thought was so beautiful. So this is also Crazy Lace Calcite. So we looked at this piece in the beginning, this gorgeous statement necklace, right? These are huge beads. They are 12 millimeter rounds, right? Look at the color. These are also Crazy Lace Calcite, but these are a much more toned down blue, a much more mellow blue. I don't know. That's how I would explain it. Kind of blissed out blue. They almost look a little bit like labradorite. And these are 8 millimeter. So look at the difference. You know, they're just a different bead in probably where they picked them up, where they mined them from. And these may have been color enhanced. The product information for this one may tell you that, but these are really cool. So this size is a very popular size for a bracelet, and it is also great for a necklace. So what if you just did, this is how simple jewelry is today in the shops. You could take this and add just a really beautiful pendant. So I used this one as an example earlier. This is by Tierra Cast. This is 32 millimeters. It's antique silver, 8-fold path pendant. And it's got this beautiful mandala pattern. And it looks like it's riveted. And it's got a different pattern on the other side. It looks very old world, very exotic, very cool. And you could take this strand, string this on, bring in some of your demi rounds to add that dimension and space it out. And this could be a beautiful, simple, minimalist boutique style necklace. This is the kind of thing you're going to see in the boutiques. So this is one way to achieve that. Now you could also do that with these red jasper. So if you have these guys, look at that color with this beautiful pendant. So I love this vibe right here. Now you could bring in the seed beads that were in the on the strand with those beads if you wanted to, or you just go with some of your spacers with the demi rounds or the regular seed beads. So that is gorgeous. I love this pendant. I've used this pendant in a few designs. I think it's really fabulous. What if we did this pendant? So these are 65 millimeter silver plated round connectors with dot and dash dangle chain. So this comes in a pair. And now these would make fabulous boutique style earrings. So there's 2 loops. You add your ear wire up top, and then here you would wire wrap a bead. So maybe this is a pendant. So you do the same thing we talked about. Grab your spacers, put them around your beaded chain, and then you could grab one bead and wire wrap it into that center point of this, and it's easily a pendant. Now another idea, if you got two packages of these, two sets of these, you could do a trio of them. Now I only have two, but you could use a third, and that would look really interesting and cool. Maybe a little bit more on the statement side, but this kind of vibe, this sort of muted color, muted blue is so denim and so great with denim. And then just add this pop of bright silver. And again, if you just want to do these as earrings, grab a bead. Here's an idea for those. What if you did these beads? Oh my goodness, this is a boutique earring. Wire wrap this, take your head pin, put it through there, wire wrap it to the inner ring there, and drop a beautiful ear wire on top. You have boutique style earrings. So many possibilities. Oh, and these too. What about our 12 millimeter guys? So the 12 millimeter beads would still fit in here. Look at how big they are, but they would go nice as well. Those actually look really cool. That is a gorgeous bead in there. So there are so many ways to achieve that boutique look, that boutique vibe with gemstones. And as I said, you guys, I've got all of these gemstones in the show as well as others. So if you haven't checked them out yet, pop over into that shopping bag and take a look around. I've added some additional findings, some additional gemstones for you guys to think about for all of your boutique style gemstone jewelry. Look at if you made a double-stranded bracelet. Look at that. That is exotic and not exotic at the same time. Just really interesting and fun. So I'm going to flip the camera up, and I'm actually going to try on these necklaces that we looked at today. Okay, so let's take a look at this statement piece first. So I love this. This is right up my alley. So let me take off this other necklace if I can find the clasp on this one. There it is. So I had on the simplest of necklaces today, and now, wow, look at this guy. So this is really a fun piece. This is fantastic for fall. You got a nice, crew neck sweater or a crew neck t-shirt that's got long sleeves, a little something to wear over it. Really cool. And if you get more than one strand of these beads, you can make this a longer design and still do the same, do that same kind of pendant piece in the center. Okay, let's get this one off. And let's see what our carabiner necklace looks like on. So I'm going to take these two, one side off, and I'm going to go to the back, and maybe I need to do it this way. It's always hard to put jewelry on camera. It's always hard because it just doesn't work the same way that you would normally do it. All right, so I'm closing that up. And now remember, you could do this single strand. Ooh, I like that. I really like that carabiner vibe because it's a simple thing. And if it had a charm hanging down, that would be fun too. But this is just boutique. This is what I could see just hanging up on the wall in a boutique or on a bust or under the counter where they have to open up the glass like this. And this isn't going to break the bank for you to make and sell in a boutique. So I love this vibe. I hope you guys do too. And before I let you go for the day, make sure that you guys check out of your carts remember that if you let your cart go, you never know if that stuff's going to still be there when you come back, and everything is limited stock. I mean, Beadaholique is closing, so if you didn't get it and it sells out, it's gone. So we want you to get these goodies home. We want you to enjoy some fun jewelry making and some fun jewelry. So please don't forget to check out of your carts. And I know I wasn't live today. I'm sorry I couldn't be here live, but I hope that you still enjoyed the boutique style gemstone jewelry. You'll make some for yourself. And let's see, Julie will be back on Thursday morning at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. She'll also be back on Monday at 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 o'clock Eastern, and then I'll be back next Tuesday at 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 Eastern time, and we've just got so much more we want to share with you, so we hope that you'll stick around and hang out with us. And I appreciate all of you for being here. Have a wonderful rest of your week. I'll see you soon.